in the dark, could be anywhere, but usually a natural setting. Sometimes walking the dogs, I'll see things.
Hi, and welcome to Dogman Teepee Hunting. Thank you for joining us. And Friday Night Files. It's Friday. Hey, Friday. Oh yeah, and lovely weather as well. And I do appreciate you joining because it is nice weather. If you're out taking me out on the beach or something, and you're looking on your phone as you're walking along, yeah, thanks for that as well. That's great. It's nice to get a breath of fresh air. But no, it's great. This week we've got bulging with stuff, but you have to bear with me because a lot of it I've got a lot on video and stuff. Okay, so I'm going to be sort of putting up the video and shuffling things around. Lucky enough, I have got help in the form of Dawnio70. Thank you very much, Dawn. Appreciate that. And Roxy B. Thank you very, very much indeed for helping with the chats. And I hope you'll be able to pin the comments now. I hope you just click on the comments. You should be able to do it. We have in the chat so far, we've got Pegler. Hello. Thank you for joining again. We have Drew Hollings. Hiya. The Legend Dolts. How you doing? Thank you for joining. Who else? Let's have a look. Haven't seen Legend Dolts before. I hope you're keeping well. Boo, 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 boo. Remember, you are able to post whatever you want. Okay. Oh, Delroy, hello, mate. You're right. Yeah. So you can put on the comments whatever you want. That's fine, and then we'll bring them up. Any questions or anything like that as we move along, we'll kind of like feature them. The girls will put them up, and that'd be great. Otherwise, yeah, how's your week gone? Mine's pretty quiet. As you can see, I need a haircut. And also, if you noticed, if you've got 4K TV, I've got a spot just there as well. It's like huge, just like boom. It's funny with spots, isn't it? obviously so many videos, and I know of some people as well, funny enough, and quite close to home, who they see a spot and they just come lunging at you like this. They're kind of like, want to press it, want to press it, want to. They're like, oh no, give away, no, because it's like it's just inflicting pain really for something doesn't need inflicting pain for. It just happen naturally, won't it? It'll just erupt. But anyway, if you're having your dinner, bon appetit, as they say. I hope it's a nice meal. Got Kaz as well. How you doing, Kaz? Um, right, okay. Should we crack on? Now, all right, what I've done is I was talking during the week with a guy. Look at this, moved over a little bit like that. Yeah. I was talking to a guy this week who's I consider a friend of mine. He's an elderly gentleman, scientist, and very well read. And he's done a lot of work which he's sort of posted, but on academia sites, and but he goes into in depth stuff on it. And he told me about something that went on not very far away because I'm in Essex. Okay, I'm in Harlow, Essex, right? And it's not very far away. If anyone knows anything about me, that's why I've got my Mystery Machine T-shirt on because it's a bit of a mystery week episode. This one, it's not exactly Dogman, but it's encompassing a few other things as well and different cryptids as well. So he told me about a story that I vaguely remembered because it's 1965. This one dates back to, but very little is mentioned about it. Okay. Oh, right. You can't pin. Okay. Oh, okay. Hold on. Hold on. Do you know I have trouble with this? I do have trouble with this. Let's have a look and see. If we can't get it. Okay. Right. Okay. I'll work on that. Okay. Give me a minute. I'll work on that and make sure that that's all. We can pin some uh, comments up. Okay. Looks like I'm the only one that can pin at the moment. All right then. I thought we had that all sorted out. Right. Okay. No, not a problem. I can get that sorted out because what I plan on doing is playing you a bit of a story. Okay. So I'm going to play you a bit of a story. It's about 13 minutes long, but it's another one of these. I found it quite fascinating is that I've pumped in a load of information about this story, and I chucked it at AI, and I said, right, get on with it and give me something, you know, hash it together. Okay, so that's what I did. So I'm going to try. Let's see if I can put that up now. Right. And then while this is doing, okay, and cooking away, listen to this, and then we can chat about it afterwards and let me know what you think. Okay. Boop, 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 boop. Right. And here I go. Ready? Okay, this is the Felix Stowe Fire Demon. Okay. Right, hang on. Let me just get that out of the way. Remove that just for a minute. Okay. And I'll just get that comment off. Right, here we go. Right, here we go. Look. Okay. Right. Let's get it underway. And bear with, really interesting story. I found it interesting anyway, and it's not very far away. Okay, and here we go. I'll mute myself.
Okay, so today we're going to do a deep dive into something really strange.
Yeah.
The Felix Stowe Fire Demon.
Yeah. The Felix Stowe Fire Demon.
Have you ever heard of this one?
I've heard the name.
Yeah.
I've heard the name.
It's one of those names you hear
Right.
that just sticks with you, right?
Yeah.
It's like Mothman.
Yeah.
And like, Spring-Heeled Jack.
Yeah.
But I hadn't actually dug into the details of the story until recently.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's what we're going to do today.
Cool.
So for this deep dive, you sent me an entry from the Obscriben Legend Wikia
Right.
and also a YouTube video transcript
Yes.
from the channel The Mythology Niche.
Yeah.
So we're going to go through these and kind of
Yeah.
see what they say about the Felix Stowe Fire
Yeah.
Demon.
And see if we can figure out
Yeah.
what's going on.
What's going on? Yeah, exactly.
Because it is a strange one.
It is a strange one.
Yeah, it's a strange one.
All right, so the Obscurban Legend Wikia starts with an account from 1965.
Okay.
So we're in Felixstowe, England.
Yeah, right.
It's September 20th, 1965 in the evening.
Hmm.
And we have this guy, Jeffrey Maskey.
Yeah, okay.
He's 25 years old and he's driving along.
Right.
And he's got two passengers with him, Mavis Fordyce and Michael Johnson.
Okay.
And they're driving along. And to save some gas, Maskey pulls over onto Walton Avenue.
Okay.
And this is an isolated road.
Okay.
The Wikia describes it as tree-lined right next to a hedgerow.
So pretty normal.
So pretty normal so far.
Nothing too spooky yet.
Nothing too spooky yet.
Yeah.
Just saving some gas, right?
Makes sense.
But
Right.
then things take a bit of a turn.
Okay.
So Michael Johnson all of a sudden just opens the car door and gets out and walks off into the darkness.
Really?
Yeah.
Just like that.
Just like that. No explanation.
Wow.
And Maskey and Fordyce are just kind of like,
Well, he's got to be
what's going on here?
Yeah, he's got to be going to the bathroom or something.
Exactly.
What's he doing?
Right.
So, but then it gets weirder.
Oh boy.
So just moments after Johnson disappears into the trees,
Okay.
they start hearing this really high-pitched humming. Just this like weird buzzing sound.
Oh, that would creep me out. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, especially if it was like right after
Right.
your friend just like randomly got out of the car.
Yeah, just like disappeared into the woods. And then there's this weird buzzing.
Yeah, that's a bad sign.
Yeah, it's a bad sign.
Yeah.
So Fordyce is getting really anxious.
Right.
Maskey leans out of the window
Yeah.
to try to figure out where the sound's coming from. And that's when he sees something even weirder.
Okay, what is it?
He sees this oval-shaped orange object
In the sky?
in the sky.
Okay.
And it's not just like a little light.
Okay.
It's like huge. It's
Right.
over 90 feet above the car.
Whoa, that's massive.
Yeah, it's massive.
Yeah.
And they estimate that it's about 6 feet wide.
Wow.
And it's glowing really intensely.
It's bathing the whole area in this orange light.
So like a classic UFO?
Yeah, it sounds like a classic UFO.
Yeah.
But
Oh, wait, there's more?
there's more.
Oh, no.
So the story doesn't end there
Okay.
because the next day Johnson shows up.
So he was gone all night.
He was gone all night.
Wow.
And when they finally get to talk to him,
Yeah.
he's got this really strange story
Okay.
about why he left the car.
All right.
He claims that he was like compelled by some force.
What, like he had to?
He had to get out of the car.
Really?
Yeah, it wasn't his decision.
Wow.
It was like something was making him
That's so creepy.
get out and go into the woods.
Yeah.
So he remembers walking into the forest,
Okay.
but he's really hazy on the details, like
Right.
how far he went and all that.
Okay.
And then comes the really scary part.
How was that?
He says that he encountered this being in the woods,
Okay.
and it was humanoid, but it wasn't just a person.
Okay.
He described it as having these large sloping eyes that glow.
Okay, so creepy already.
Super creepy, right?
Yeah.
And the craziest detail is that he said it was totally engulfed in flames, like covered in orange flames.
No way.
Yeah.
That is terrifying.
It's terrifying. And then at that point, Johnson blacks out
Oh, wow.
and he wakes up the next morning in a hospital bed.
So he has no memory of.
No memory of what happened
Oh.
between seeing that thing and waking up in the hospital.
That's wild.
It's wild, right?
Yeah.
So the Wikia entry is really specific about that. Like
Right.
Johnson swears up and down that he has absolutely no memory of
Yeah.
what happened after he saw that creature.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
maybe the most important part of this Wikia entry
Right.
is they categorize this whole thing under alien sightings.
Interesting.
So they're putting it in that category.
So they're thinking
They're
extraterrestrial.
thinking extraterrestrial, yeah.
Interesting.
So that's 1965.
Okay, so a UFO sighting and then an encounter with,
Yeah, a fiery humanoid.
right, a fiery being.
Exactly.
So crazy.
Super crazy.
Yeah.
Now let's jump back in time a little bit
Okay.
to the account from the YouTube video.
All right.
So this video is all about this legend of the Felixstowe fire demon.
Okay, so it's like a known,
It's like a local legend.
local legend in that area.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And it goes back way further than 1965.
Okay.
It's centered around this guy named Jeffrey Tylen,
All right.
and he told this story in 1965.
Yeah.
But his experience actually happened in 1923.
Wow. So this is like way before.
Way before, yeah.
Yeah.
And the setting for this story is near Landguard Fort.
Oh, okay. Landguard Fort.
Have you heard of that?
I have, yeah.
Okay, so it's this historical military structure.
Right. Lots of history there.
Tons of history.
Yeah.
So Tiny Lynn and a friend were walking near the fort at night,
Mhm.
and out of the darkness, they see this monstrous figure.
Okay, hold on. This is sounding familiar.
Yeah,
A
right.
little bit.
A little similar to the 1965 account.
Yeah.
So Kai says that this thing was engulfed in flames,
Just like the other one.
just like the other one.
Wow.
And it was humanoid in shape.
Okay.
Definitely not human.
Right.
Like it was just unnatural.
Yeah.
And its whole body was glowing.
Wow. So creepy.
Super creepy.
Yeah.
And the YouTube transcript really emphasizes this
Okay.
like menacing presence that this thing had.
So it wasn't just like a...
It wasn't just like a light. It
Yeah.
was like this being.
Yeah.
And it was moving towards them.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So they freaked out and ran away.
I would too.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. It didn't chase them.
Oh, really?
It just kind of stayed there.
Just watching them?
Yeah, like a burning specter.
Wow, that's so creepy.
Super creepy, right?
Yeah.
And this experience obviously really affected Seika
Yeah, but
because years later, he actually reported it to paranormal investigators.
wow. So he held on to that story.
He held on to it, yeah.
Yeah.
And so now we've got these two accounts, right? 40 years apart, both in Felixstowe.
Both with this fiery
Yeah,
figure.
this fiery humanoid.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's a pretty striking parallel, right?
It really is, yeah.
So let's look at some of the ways that these accounts have been interpreted.
Okay, let's do it.
So the YouTube video focuses on the supernatural side of things for
Okay.
the 1923 account.
Okay.
So one theory is that this fire demon is connected to the history of Landguard Fort.
Okay, so...
Well, you know, the fort's seen a lot over the centuries.
Right, battles and stuff.
Battles, fires, probably deaths, you know?
Yeah, that's dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the idea is that this fiery figure could be like a ghost,
Okay.
like a manifestation of all the bad stuff that happened there.
Oh, like a residual haunting.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
And then the video also brings up folklore,
Okay.
specifically will-o'-the-wisps.
Right, those mysterious lights.
Yeah, you know those like flickering lights you see in marshes and stuff?
Yeah, said to lead travelers astray.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So maybe this fire demon is like a more intense version of that.
Okay, yeah. Like a humanoid will-o'-the-wisp.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
And the video even suggests that it could be something more sinister,
Okay. Like what?
like a demon or a devil.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a bit scary.
It's scary, right?
Yeah.
And they even compare it to Spring-Heeled Jack,
Oh, wow.
you
right.
know, that Victorian era bogeyman.
Yeah, the one who could jump really high.
Yeah, and had glowing eyes.
Right, and was just generally creepy.
Super creepy.
Yeah.
So it's interesting how people try to make sense of these things.
Right, by comparing them to other legends.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah.
trying to fit it into some existing category.
Right, because it's so strange.
Yeah,
It's hard to even wrap your head around it.
totally.
Yeah.
But the video also presents some skeptical explanations for the 1923 sighting.
Okay, so more down-to-earth explanations.
Yeah, more grounded explanations. So
From-
maybe Steve just saw something normal but misinterpreted it.
Okay, like what?
Like maybe it was just a
Okay, right. So, let's take this off a little bit. So, what we've got basically a group of guys in the car, 3 of them, and the car stops. Then one of them gets out and is compelled to leave the car and goes into a wood. Now, you have I've often done that from the point of view of, you know, you got to go take a tinkle. Yeah, not going to do it in the car, are you? You know, so but this was something else. He was gone for a while, and it was something that happened to him that made him completely blackout, and ended up in hospital. And he told the doctors and he told the police. Now, I've got 2 aspects to this. We've got the UFO aspect, which, you know, from the point of view of one, it was an oval shape UFO, a bit like what's now trending, if you like. Maybe that's the wrong word, trending. But we get it in trends, don't we? Like with shapes of UFOs, we get the normal saucer shape. Before that, in the late 1800s, we get the balloon, the blimps. People saw those. which there was 2 different cases which struck me as quite odd with those. One was in Caerphilly in Wales, where this guy was on his way home. I think he was, if I remember rightly, um, this guy was a traveling Punch and Judy show presenter, just like those Punch and Judy shows in the late 1800s, and living that way, Um, so before he became a local MP, I suppose. But anyway, so he stopped and looked up and he saw a blimp. Now the funny thing with these blimps are late 1800s. They had large lights on them, like the witnesses would say they'd see multiple lights, and the lights would be pointing down and just illuminating, a bit like Close Encounters. When you get Close Encounters and you kind of, the film, and you get the spotlight that comes down. That one with Richard Dreyfuss at the traffic lights, at the stop point, and that light just boom, like that, and just like kind of lit up his whole car, and it started shaking and rattling. The witnesses in the late 1800s said that the light was very bright and came down. Now, that always struck me as very odd, because if it's late 1800s, to have such a bright light, when you think about it, have such a bright light would take one of these old-fashioned, heavy duty, um, uh, normal lamp with a flame. A bit like a old-fashioned lighthouse would have. So would these airship blimps be carrying such a heavy item as that light around? That's what I found strange about them. That's what makes me think, oh, do you know what? I think probably, yeah, alien. But what, it's odd that they a lot of times saw an undercarriage to it and people inside it. And you're like, that's kind of a bit of a funny one. Anyway, yeah. So this guy saw this blimp land in Caerphilly, and I think he was on his way to Cardiff. Anyway, and he said he saw figures getting out, and these figures were sort of like looking around for stuff, for something, and then they got back inside. No, they didn't get back inside. They got in this other smaller vehicle, and it had wheels. And then the air blimp took off, or this craft took off. Let's call it craft. Took off, and then this craft, the vehicle they were in, were rolling along, and then lifted up, and they just clambered in. But anyway, right? Okay, so Fire Demon, they spoke of an oval airship, right? Now we get it in different shapes and sizes, and they do tend to go on trends. So we get the blimps, we get the UFO saucer, flying plate saucer type thing. Jesus is my savior. So I don't know if any of you ever read the Bible, but it claims that all aliens and ghosts are demons in disguise to trick and deceive us. I'm pretty sure our creatures knows what he's talking about. Yeah, okay. I do. Yeah, indeed. I know what you're talking about. Now, saying that, I also have to say one important thing, and that important thing is, Jesus, my savior, is the field is very much open. Let's not blinker ourselves. I believe in Jesus Christ as much as anyone, but more so not blinkered by the fact that we can't adopt too stringent guidelines on this. We can't adopt a blinkered view which rules out anything else, because at the moment, nobody's right, nobody's wrong. They really aren't. And I do understand your point of view. Absolutely understand it. It's a point of view which a lot of people have. But we have to temper that with a certain degree of logic. If we want to get to the actual truth, then we have to encompass a wider field, yeah, and then mash that all together. That doesn't mean to say that we're going to lose any faith in the Bible and what the Bible says. It just means that I believe, okay, in my study of taking bits and pieces from here, there, and everywhere, putting it together and coming up, hopefully, with a scenario. Whether that scenario is leaning towards a biblical narrative, could be, yes. The one thing I will say that I do know, oh, hi, how you doing? You all right, Kenny? Thank you very much. Appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. One thing I would agree with is we do have to understand that I know for sure that when I'm out, and we see it a lot in films, and you get the part in a dramatic part of the film where a demon's coming, or a guy is possessed, or a woman's possessed. In the name of Jesus Christ, I expel you, or renounce you, boom, and just holding a crucifix. That does work. I know you're going to think, well, what? No. Seriously, that does work from the point of view. I've been in places in woods and stuff, especially at night, where it's like I've sensed stuff, seen stuff. And by reciting the Lord's Prayer, and I've tried, it's helped. It's dispersed whatever was there, it's gone. I don't know if it's something that's like almost psychosomatic, which kind of uh, it's something in within me which it triggers and stops the fear, or whether it does. But I know for sure that whatever was there on 3 occasions went quickly. So, mm, you know, but it puts it puts another factor in there. So yeah, I do think that it's quite true, what you're saying. It could well be. I even hope everyone's well. I'm going to keep up. I'm having problems with. I can actually put the people's comments up. Right, I'll just explain. Put people's comments. Then I'll go back onto the story quickly. I can put people's comments up. The girls at the moment can't. I thought I'd like, boom, done it. I thought I smashed it, worked it out, and done exactly as YouTube said to enable them to post the comments up themselves, the moderators. I mean, seriously, technical hitch or what? So, yeah. So as I created this live, I'm the one who's got authority to put the comments up. Don't want it. I've got enough to do. I don't want it, but until that's sorted out, as I say, but that's good. I'm thankful for them being there, because at least they can keep, conversation and highlight conversations to me, which is good, and I can just post them up. Anyway, back to this fire demon thing. 3 guys in the car. One got compelled to go out and leave the car, okay, and go into the woods. The other 2 stayed in the car. What did they see? They saw a oval shaped craft in the sky about 90 feet away from them. Close. So oval shaped craft, right? So once again, like an egg shape, I take it to be an egg shaped craft, not a triangle, not a flying saucer type, and it emitted a glowing, I think they said a yellow glowing light, amber light, which illuminated the whole of the. And this is Felixstowe, Suffolk. I remembered the story after I was told it, because I thought, oh yeah, I do remember that, because I used to spend a lot of time in Suffolk when I was a kid. Yeah, my grandma used to live there, so we used to spend an awful lot of time at Felixstowe, and I do remember grandma mentioning about this years ago. But I just thought she was dotty, but no. So so yeah, and then the guy in the woods, he saw this demon. All right, look, let's call it a alien entity, because of the correlation with the UFO that was spotted. But this alien entity was also engulfed in flames. His eyes were glowing. So we've had witness reports of glowing eyes before with entities in the forest, namely Dogman, Bigfoot. Okay, so that kind of, you see how it all kind of like meshes together. It's like a bit funny, isn't it? It's like, oh, so well, we have that. Then he passed out, and the UFO. They didn't say what happened. That went. Then we had the episode in 1923 at the fort nearby, where another fire entity. I'm not going to say demon because we don't know, but that one at the fort stayed static but was watching, and that one did have more of an air of was more vengeful, more it exuded more of a demeanor of uh, uh, keep away hatred, if you like. So the witness said. But isn't it strange how the interpretation, that's what I want to get at, the interpretation of what people see. One will say demon, one will say alien. And I think that's in a way, that's kind of like the confusing part. We kind of like, because we want to pigeonhole, we have to pigeonhole, give it an aspect of what this thing is, what people are seeing, and we find it all the while. It's like uh, like a RTA, road traffic accident. The police will come, the police will take witness statements, but depending on the witness and the aspect of view that it had at that time, the the um uh the guilty party may not be one car, it may be in the other car, because that particular witness saw the accident from a different viewpoint. And yet if you had another viewpoint, they would say the red car did it when the blue car didn't. And that's kind of like, in a way, what we're dealing with. Um and it's kind of a bit of a funny, that's something which we have to really kind of get to grips with on that. Now I'm gonna play next I was on a ghost hunt, yeah, and on this ghost hunt I was talking to some guys, and they were just part of a team. It was part of the Spook and Ori team. Now, I'm not a. I go to ghost hunts. I'm interested by ghosts. I'm interested in paranormal. Full stop. The whole kit and caboodle, the whole lot. I'm interested because it sort of has always affected me. I've always had experiences like a lot of people have, and it's like, and you need to know. You want to know because it's an ongoing thing. And I don't know about you, but I find that when you have one experience, it leads on to another. It's almost like a doorway has been opened, and it leads on to another paranormal experience. Have you found that? And yet you find other people that no. I've spoken about it last week, because it's just another strange thing. Really, it's another another oddity, you know. Well, I've got another question. Sometime last year, one of the original scientists in 1947, the Area 51, claimed in an interview that they experimented on Down syndrome people and covered up what they made a few UFO air devices and made. Okay, right. Yeah, I know. I mean, Operation Paperclip, where at the end of the last war, the Second World War, the Americans were eager beavers to get hold of the technology that the Nazis had. And if memory serves me right, there was one guy who was a particularly nasty Nazi, but intelligent, a really good engineer, evidently. Hans Kramer, Hans Kramer, I think his name was. Anyway, he was originally an engineer. He studied engineering, and he helped with the technology with Werner von Braun with the V2 rocket. And I think it was also, there was a plane as well, the M16, one of Germany's first in the Second World War. It was an experimental plane, M16, which I know there's a gun as well called M16, but I'm sure it was the M16 or M18 that was the first jet plane. I mean, come on, guys! It's like the Second World War. It's like, you know, it was all case of Spitfires, Messerschmitts, you know, prop aeroplanes, and the Germans had a jet fighter. It's like, what? You know, the technology was like incredible that they had, and it makes one wonder where they got the technology from. It's a bit of a story, but you know, it's maybe I'll cover it on another week. But basically, his name was uh, uh, there's documentation that evidently he died of a cyanide. He gave himself cyanide and died. Yeah, but there's other witness statements that said no, he was in America at a certain time, and he worked for the Americans on their um, fusion energy technology, and other works as well. And there was a famous part where unprocessed uranium was on a U-245 U-boat, I think, and the boat was under his instruction was heading to Japan. And I think it was Hans Kramer that told the Americans, and Americans intercepted it across the Atlantic, stopped the boat, and extracted 560 kilos of unprocessed uranium. This is all from memory, okay? I'm just like remembering this. And so I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is right. And it has something to do with the Nazi bell. People believe it has something to do with the Nazi bell. Let's have a look. Yeah, so the Nazi bell is Die Glocken, you know, and it had evidently like an element 115, you know, that new element that was discovered recently, relatively recently. And they think it's a derivative of that. But I might cover that. I might cover that another week. Because there's a lot more detail with that one. There's a lot more detail about the Second World War, Hans Kramer, and you know, stuff he got up to. Not a nice guy. Not a nice guy at all. Not a nice guy. Horrible man. But it's thank you for that. Okay. But yeah, interesting story. So anyway, yeah. So these people have different interpretations of what they're seeing. Okay, but the one in Felixstowe, yes, they saw an oval ship. Yes, one of them saw a alien, if you like, which was engulfed in flames. Very, very strange, being that in Felixstowe in 1923, the same type of entity was seen again. Now, I was on a ghost hunt. Let me get back to that. I was on a ghost hunt, right? And I was talking to some guys, and I was like saying, have you had, what experiences have you had? And they were telling me. And I then asked them about have they had any demonic, going back to what Jesus, my Savior, said, any demonic entities, any like kind of real rough ones, And they told me a little story. And at the same time, on the video, okay, they you can hear footsteps coming up the staircase, but no one's there, and we all heard it. It's like crazy. So I kind of dinked out a little bit of it. I just want to play it to you. That's all. Let's have a look. I wonder if some of the UFOs are portals of some type. Well, maybe I think they travel through some kind of portal. I think they're able to manipulate their gravity. Our gravity, if you like. But once again, I sway on the side of because when you see UFO, right? Okay, Jesus, when you see a UFO, it invariably, when it moves, it will go boom, 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 really quickly. It will kind of like shunt itself, It has that kind of effect with it. It's not a linear motion where it just glides across. It's normally where it just boom, and then boom, boom. It's very abrupt. It's very kind of 1 minute it's there, 1 minute it's gone kind of thing, and then it disappears. Boom, gone. I think that is because it does manipulate gravity. I don't like calling it gravity, really. How can I put it? But like a torsion field, if you like. Okay, and it kind of is able to manipulate that and pull itself. That's why you see that motion where it's like jutting across really quickly. It's able to actually open something up and it pulls itself. So, in other words, it doesn't go any quicker in a way than we are watching it. Okay, we think we're on a set timeline, right? It doesn't go any quicker. What it is doing is manipulating that frame of reference and pulling itself quicker through. So it's pulling itself quicker through our frame of reference. Does that make sense? Is that like kind of yeah? If you like one week, I'll go into a bit more in depth about that. I mean, I've written about it and said about the everything engine, and that gives a rough outline of what it is. But I do believe a lot of these entities, they kind of like are able to they're able to travel at a different rate of speed to us, which makes them look like avatars, including their ships. Yeah. So anyway, right. Okay. So what else we got? The Vowel Society were female psychics allegedly channeling our Bavarian sister. Apparently, they channel plans for UFOs. Yes, Aldebaran, yeah, system. Yeah, I've heard of this. Oh, they were also Viril Society, Viril Society, yeah, German secret society. This is pre-war, really. Very select few were in that society, and they were evidently privy to a lot of information, but also, like a lot of these secret societies, uh, they had their foundations in a lot of occult teaching. And the Germans very much so, back in the war. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Victor Schubberger, yeah, Schubberger, yeah, yeah. It was another one. How does that work, Jesus? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. I heard UFO drones sometimes get hit by lightning. That's why they crash. Yeah, I heard that. I mean, there was one story where one hit a wind turbine. Do you hear about that? Where it hit a few years ago now. It was meant to have hit a wind turbine and broke the blade and just, um, as I say, they're kind of the frame of reference. Yeah, there's going to be points where we see like it was Bigfoot, Dogman. We're going to see a footprint, but we'll only see one footprint. We'll only see one footprint. Where's the rest of the tracks? Where are they, Phil? Where have they gone? Where's the rest of? Oh, it doesn't make sense. Where's the rest of? Well, you only see the one footprint because it's pulling itself. It's manipulating the frame of reference that we're in, so we see it as an avatar. But at that point, that it tallies up, so it's going across. Boom! At that point, the frame of reference is on the same. Yeah, same as us. And it's at that point you see that footprint, and then it moves on and you don't see any footprints. So yeah, do you see what I mean? That's what I believe, and I think it's something probably to do with torsion waves or such. So 0 point energy, yeah. 0 point energy, it's theoretically proven, 0 point energy, but in actuality, once again, all of these things which they kind of like they're able to it's theoretically possible to time travel. It's theoretically possible for 0 point energy. It's just the expedition of putting it together, making it happen, which with our clumsy technology at the moment, it's just not happening. Not on the scale that we want, not on the scale that we see with those other entities. Ours is like kind of we're still at the stage really of kind of, when they're starting up the car in the morning for work, we're rolling around the front of the car with a handle and sort of starting it with a handle. That's us when it comes to what we see out there at the moment. That's our technology compared with theirs. So yeah, theoretically we have a lot. Sure, I think I may have seen one. Oh, okay. I'd like to hear about that. Yeah. Anytime you can always message me. Okay. Like Jesus, if you want to message me, that's fine. Let us know. That's good. You probably did, or if not, like that is what you saw. Yeah, exactly. That's right, Don. Right. Okay. I'll tell you what. I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna put on that video. Now the video is I went on a ghost hunt. It's on a spook and all event. Okay. And it was a good event, but there wasn't a great deal happening. Not a great deal. There wasn't like a lot of these events. There's sort of so many people. I personally find a bit so many people into one room and sort of it's just not happening. That's why I tend to go off on my own. But it's a good experience. It's a good experience. But as I say, 10, 20, 10, 15 people, 8 people in one room shouting out for a ghost. I don't think they're gonna, they're not gonna appear in that manner. They might when I hide behind the door when I'm going for a Jimmy Riddle in the toilet and it's a dark corridor. They may go, and something will happen, but not as I don't think as a group. But there you go. Right. Let's have a look. So, screen share. Let's see if we can't get this up. Okay, right. Spoke to this guy on the ghost hunt, and very, very interesting. Right, let's start that off. Yeah, exactly. I don't mind it at all. I quite enjoy it actually. I quite enjoy it.
I do Twitch streaming and I do YouTube as well.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm completely comfortable with it.
Yeah, I do mostly Facebook and YouTube. I load up a lot of because I normally go cryptid hunting, so I don't do a lot of Northwood paranormal. I do a bit of paranormal, but I used to do a lot more years ago, but I normally go into woods and forests looking for dogman, werewolves,
Oh, okay.
bigfoot, things like that. Because we have them over here, you see. That's normally
The
what I
one
do.
I've had is I was in Leamani.
Where's that?
It's just outside of Tiptree.
Oh, right, Leia Marley.
Yeah.
Oh,
You've got like Leamani Tower and
oh, right.
everything else, but there's a bit of road, and we were out there. We were trying to get hold of a spirit, and then all of a sudden we could just hear walking up the road,
No.
and we stood out in the middle of the road,
Yeah.
and you can clearly see that there was no one coming up. We even looked the other way, and there was no one there. And there were points where we'd sort of walk up the road to sort of this crossroads.
Yeah.
But as you look into the field, you just see black shadows.
In the field.
Yeah. And the shadows would just all of a sudden just duck to the ground as soon as you try and look at them. But you could see where they were sort of laying.
Really?
Yeah, it was really weird.
That sounds weird. Seeing black shadows in the field.
But it didn't,
walking up the road.
when you saw them, you didn't really feel anything negative about them. It was more calming, like they were there to protect you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, they wanted
Okay,
to
yeah.
have fun.
Yeah.
Are you there as well?
Yeah, I've been up there as well, and I have seen it. But
What did you see? The
Oh.
same.
yeah, and to me, it seemed like all they wanted to do was just have fun with you and just mess about a little bit.
Yeah.
They knew they were being seen. These black
Yeah.
shadows,
Yeah.
and you heard them walking up the road.
Yeah.
Right. What made you want to look into the field then?
Well, it was more. I sort of saw something out the corner of my eye.
Yeah.
And because it wasn't like continuously open, it was bush, little opening, load of bush,
Yeah.
then a massive opening.
Yeah.
And sort of as I got up towards like the start of a bush, I just saw something out the corner of my eye.
Yeah.
So my instant reaction is, oh, what's that? And as I looked, I've just seen this black shadow just duck down.
Okay.
And then as we're walking up past the bush, at the corner of my eye, I can see like this sort of like black ball just sort of going along. And I thought it was something in my eye. So I've
Yeah, sure, you would. Yeah.
rubbed my
Yeah.
eye and I can still see it there. And
Yeah.
as I've turned around, it's just sort of ducked.
Okay.
But then where the break in the bush was, I could like just see like a figure.
Yeah.
It was just really weird, and that really creeped me out.
Yeah, it would do, wouldn't it? It would
To the
do.
point of I think I got halfway up this road. I was like, no, I've got to turn back.
Yeah. 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 No, that would do. That would do. Have you ever seen anything, any entity, any ghost, where it's been absolute horror, a feeling of all encompassing, a blanket of despair, something which has like been really, really bad?
Probably my scariest one would probably be in my garden.
What?
Yeah. So I've got
Not close at home then, really, is it?
no, but it was like so I've got a railway line that runs behind my house.
Okay, yeah.
And I was outside of my garden. I think it was about 12:30 at night, and I'm outside just having my fag before bed.
Yeah.
And I look up through where we've got trees at the top of my garden, and I just see these two piercing red eyes. And at that point, I threw my fag and I went back into the house and made sure I double locked that door.
That's interesting.
Because I wasn't about to find out what was there.
Yeah.
And I just kind of went and hid in my room.
Okay. The piercing red eyes, were they like pinpricks of red, or I know it's like kind of hard to remember, but was it a
No.
green? Was it a green color in it as well? Red, green, or
No, it was like a solid red.
a solid red,
Yeah.
like a glowing red out the dark?
Yeah.
Okay. You didn't have a torch. You didn't have anything.
No.
Any light. You just went
All I
down?
had was I was watching a video on my phone.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've turned that off because I was sort of just wanting to then just chill out in the peacefulness.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden I look up and
Yeah.
I just see these two red eyes just sort of piercing back at me.
Okay. Right. See my eyes here. Yeah. About roughly how far apart were these red eyes as opposed to
About
mine?
here.
Okay, right about so yeah. So we're talking about what, 8 inches apart,
Yeah.
9 inches apart. That's quite wide. And tall wise, height wise, compared with you? Because you must be about 5'7" at least. I'm 5'6" and a little bit.
It was probably about my height as well.
Okay.
It was really, really quite something that made me sort of go, nah. I literally noped out of it. I threw my phone and I went back in. And then every so often I sort of peered out of my room to make sure I wasn't going crazy. And I just didn't see anything.
Okay, yeah. Well, congratulations, because I think you saw a Dogman.
Okay, fair enough.
They very often have this ability of when you go out in the forest or woods, and they very often have an ability to impart feeling of like fuck off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just go. They're like kind of, So have you ever met anyone? Sometimes when you meet some people, and you kind of you just get a feeling of, I'm not gonna fuck with them. They're just like feeling that they've killed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They've either or they're capable of it. That's the sort of thing you get when you get a dog. Not all the while, but some of it.
So the thing is, I've only ever seen it once. I've never seen it again since.
Good. Yeah. No, they are quite. Yeah. I mean, I've got lots of on my YouTube and that you'll see lots of videos, and also testimonies from people. Okay. Right. Sorry for the language there. Right. I was looking just quickly at the comments. Also, there was one. Let's have a look about in Hebrew. Where was that comment now? Okay, hit by lightning. Majestic 12. Yeah. That's another thing. Majestic 12. Very odd. Here we go. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. In aliens in Hebrew does translate to angels, but you have to remember that their definition at that time of aliens was different to our definition of aliens now, because it all with we I have to point out that we do tend to impart that definition onto them up there. Not necessarily so. At the time, they would have thought they would have interpreted it alien as an outsider, or somebody that was alien to their culture, their way of life. It's a bit like with in Hebrew, I believe apostles. The word apostles in Hebrew meant assassins. Which is very odd. Makes kind of sense because I think in the Garden of Ganymede it was there that was it one of the apostles, was it Philip or was it Thomas, pulled out a sword and cut off a woman's ear, which kind of you think of that if they were pacifists and what were they doing carrying swords at a time, but again in the Bible. But then we have to be mindful of the fact that at that time the interpretation of these aliens, assassins, was different. Okay, I'm mindful of that fact. We have to be kind of educated to the fact that it was a different time then. Okay, but so we're implanting that on our time. Aliens, that's what we know to be aliens, really. So yeah, that's one thing. There's another little interesting thing. Yeah, don't be taking my job, sir. I like that one, Don. There's a planet. Okay, this was interesting. I am studying. Is Lucifer was a planet at the moment? Allegedly now, the asteroid belt. This being where Satan and Nephilim invaded Earth from. Okay. Yeah, yeah. I'm aware of the planet New. What is it? New. Uh, they're called Newbury. Newbury planet, or let us know in the comments. But it's one of those, which is kind of like a planet which goes around outside of our solar system, a bit like Oumuamua, yeah, and then comes back in again every so often. This like large planet is meant to have been seen, or has been seen by superpowered telescopes, and is due to arrive. But I don't know. We have to deal with what we have at the moment. Uh, so they'll go. Please, okay, cool. Yeah. Let's have a look. The guy had the figures. Yeah, yeah. Thanks for pointing out. Yeah. Uh, let's have a look. Jesus said, I'm sorry if I'm coming off too strong or whatever. I just find it interesting and crazy. It is crazy, absurdly crazy. And you're not coming on too strong at all. Honestly, Jesus. It's as I say, I was raised Christian. Yeah, I was raised Church of England. Um, uh, uh, I and so I kind of like had it every morning at school, sat cross-legged, doing form class, then sat cross-legged in the hall, and all the kids were singing Cat Stevens songs. Morning has broken, like, but I won't sing it. So that's the type of thing that I used to do, right? So I get it, but I'm also mindful that it's getting complicated. What we're coming up against and what we're seeing and what we know of is getting complicated, and it's clouding vision a lot of times, and it doesn't help because this vision is being clouded by forces which are doing it on purpose, I believe. Let's have a look. The Bible says Lucifer was a bright star, morning star, that was visible, destroyed in the sky. Yeah, that's right, morning star. Yeah, he was the most beautiful of angels, the most beautiful. He was number one. He was like number one of on God's lineup, if you like. He was like the chosen one, really, out of all of the angels. Or archangels, sorry. And yeah, that's it. Maybe one had story, and then but yeah, he fell foul, got jealous, and thought he could run things. Apostle means the sent ones. It was Peter that cut. Oh, Peter, that's it. Cut off the guys. It was all, and King James, but demons, angels, are all called stars. Kind of weird, huh? It is. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Right, I shall carry on with this because the footsteps coming up in a minute. Just as we're talking, it's like weird. Hold on. Much like yourself, exact same type. They've got this habit of they've got these iridescent kind of red eyes that glow. They kind of emanate a glow about them. The only thing that's capable in the natural world to do that are fish. Fish are able, deep sea fish are able to, their eyes can glow. They've got a phosphorescence about them. But no land animal should have that, where they actually glow, So yeah, no, that's really good.
Like about 3 years ago. But
What area were you in? Do you mind me asking? When?
Oh, when?
No. What area?
Whittam.
Oh, Whittam. Oh, yeah, I know Whittam. Yeah, right. Okay, Whittam. I only asked that because if anyone's listening and they have like about 3 years ago about the same sort of like sighting of a dogman or something with red eyes, they know the area and they know roughly the time, so they'll be able to say, "Oh, Phil, actually, I was near Whittam," and I was like, So that's always good to know. I appreciate that.
That was roughly around the same time as I heard the little girl.
Yeah. So up by where we've got a bridge that we nicknamed the Zigzag, just because of how it's built.
Yeah.
And around that time is when Mitch was hearing a little girl up on that bridge.
Yeah.
What
So,
happened?
long story short, an ex-girlfriend of mine was pregnant. Something happened. The baby had been lost. And then we was outside having a fag. It was quite late at night. And then all of a sudden, all I heard was a little girl shout out, "Daddy."
So then we've both sort of like thinking, you know, a girl's gone missing and she's up on the bridge. We've gone up there. And as we got up there, we then heard a growl. And we were like, that ain't no girl, that's a demon.
Damn.
Yeah. So
Damn.
we pretty much ran straight back to his.
It was a growl.
Yeah. And it was like a deep growl as well.
And where was this? I know it's on a railway track. Where was this in relation to where you had your sighting?
So it was in Whittam again.
Yeah, and that's about, 30 seconds from my house?
What?
Yeah.
So, and I live just around the corner from him.
Okay.
So
he's about 5 minutes from me, and the bridge is basically dead centre of both of us.
All right.
But yeah, it's if you stand up on that bridge, you can see the back of my house.
Okay. That's some hairy crap, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And since then, we've not really gone too close to the bridge. Unless we really need it to.
And you definitely sort of wouldn't go that close at night, I guess.
No.
I mean, when I get dropped off from work, I have to go over that bridge anyway.
Right.
But it's normally about 7:15 that I'm going over it. So it's not like the dead of night. It's still when everyone's going to be out and about.
Yeah. But you don't get a good feeling from that.
No.
It is a footbridge, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And years ago, before that bridge got put there, it was a level crossing.
Okay.
Over the train track. The reason that they changed it over to the bridge was because of 2 people had got killed there.
Damn.
And one of the very last people that got killed there was one of my dad's mates.
Oh.
And then they took out the level crossing and put the bridge there to stop that from happening.
Yes.
But then it hasn't really stopped anyone because there's points on the bridge where you can still jump over and sort of go down onto the railway.
Yeah. So it's a kind of like a death hotspot, if you like.
Yeah.
Because then another sort of 30 seconds from my house is another crossing. That one's just 2 gates and people are known for walking across it.
I know. That is so interesting, man. Yeah. We heard someone coming up those steps earlier. Be careful. Listen, really great talking to both of you. Thank you. You know, there we go. But that was interesting from the point of view of the interpretation that he had. He interpreted what he saw with the red eyes and by the bridge on being some kind of demonic demon. But if you were to ask a multitude of witnesses for Dogman and cryptids, they would say that spacing of the eyes and the red eyes would be, and the same feeling you get as well, because they do have this feeling of foreboding. You know, they like to generate fear. They prefer that because it sort of gives them more essence, if you like. It feeds them. You know, I've got a testimony that I want to read out. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, I got that. Yep, thanks, Don. I got the sound back now. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Let's have a look. Right. User MBS. There are thousands of ex-Satanist testimonies in USA, Mexico, converted to Christian. Yeah, there's a lot of there is a lot of ex-Satanists and like warlocks as well. You know, that I kind of like have heard. You know, that have moved over. You know, to Christianity, because the bottom line is, if you delve too deeply into the dark arts, it takes from you. It's like, you know, with witches, you know, they're not dark arts. Don't get it wrong. They're not all dark arts. Not at all. I'm not saying that, but you get you know, mother crone, maiden, mother crone. And the reason that you get maiden, mother crone is because as they go on their cycle, they become crones. It takes something from them. Yeah. Whereas, you know, if you don't follow, you know, the darker arts, it doesn't take. It hasn't got so much of a physical and mental toll on you. You know, and I think that's what a lot of people, when they go into it, it's like a almost yeah, it's an instant. You get instant results a lot of times from the dark arts, but that's part and parcel of the carrot. You know, they're dangling the carrot. Whereas sometimes you can pray, and this is the way it goes. You can pray to, you know, God and Jesus, and you won't see anything happen. It all happens in the background. You know, it happens in the background. They work in the background. But then when you get to where you're going or what you want to happen, it's not a case of want to happen, but what you know, what you've prayed for happens. It's funny that a lot of times in my life, you know, when I've been younger, I've kind of like wished for stuff, and stuff's happened. You know, because I've wished so hard, it's sort of like just like appeared and happened. Uh, um, but yeah, Satan, Lucifer aren't the same thing. That's right, completely right. Yeah. Dogman are dangerous. Dogmen are dangerous, but sometimes I think the government can be more dangerous with the stories I've heard. Yeah, yeah, I think so. I think there's it's dangerous from the point of view of information and disinformation. You know, that's what a lot of times we get. The cryptids are Nephilim animal hybrids. The elite are Nephilim human hybrids. Okay, all right. Yeah, I don't know really. I mean, Nephilim, I've got my own ideas with. I don't think Dogman is uh, kind of derived from Nephilim. I don't think that's a thing at all. I don't think really Bigfoot is derived from Nephilim, personally speaking. You know, Nephilim are kind of like angels which were cast down, that came down and had relationships with human women, you know, and their offspring with the Nephilim. But I don't know. Um, uh, and it was spoken about in the Book of Enoch and places like that. So we have to once again take it another little piece in the jigsaw puzzle. Right, got a testimony. Okay, right. Okay, I'll read this one out. Now she starts off. The lady does. I don't remember if I shared this with you or if you'd be interested, but I was watching one of your videos and it reminded me of this. My late husband's mum told me that her cousin shared this with her. So he heard this strange howling in the woods behind his house. Said it was similar to the siren you hear when there's a natural disaster. He went to investigate where it was coming from. He couldn't believe his eyes. It was a female squatch howling in pain of giving birth. So he hid behind a tree and silently watched. He stayed long enough to watch her clean the infant and began nursing. He was so excited, so he went home to grab his camcorder and wasn't more than 30 minutes. When he got back, there was no trace of them. Not even the afterbirth was left behind. He was so mad and figured the government came and cleaned up all the evidence. Well, stop that there just for a minute. That's like, because it's not very often that you get a witness or even a testimony about a squatch giving birth. I was told that these teepee structures like birthing pods. I don't think I personally don't think so. I did talk at great length last week about it. I don't think so. I think they're more kind of like markers, of where portals are and where different places are which are more susceptible to kind of torsion waves and kind of stuff like that. But yeah, that's incredible. When the lady sent that to me, I was like, what, really? And yeah, that was kind of, she says in all honesty that this, that was what was told in the family. That was a family account story. Okay, she goes on. Okay, I forgot to mention, she was sitting against a tree, and this was in Northern California. Right, she goes on. This is a different story, this one. So this is a completely different subject, but the guy I'm married to now was a Marine in the 1980s and stationed somewhere in England. Remember, he doesn't believe in this stuff. Okay, so he's a Marine, yeah, stationed in the UK, and he's not one to believe in stuff we probably do. Yeah. He went to that famous cemetery, I can't remember the name of it, where they say the vampire haunts. And I think it's Karl Marx is buried there. Yeah, I went there. Yeah, Highgate Cemetery. Anyway, he went there at night, crazy if you ask me, and he kept hearing footsteps. If he stopped, they stopped, and he never saw a thing. I appreciate her sending that in. I really do, because it's just absurd, isn't it? It seems it just seems so absurd. But when you think the guy was a Marine, and for him to kind of take a double take and footsteps behind him, he would know, wouldn't he? being Marine, he would know that kind of stuff, you know. So yeah, that's another really strange little strange account. But the squatch giving birth, that is so rare that anyone's seen that. So rare. But yeah, if the afterbirth went, they would have eaten it, wouldn't they? Evidently, it's like full of nutrients, you know. But you know, I don't know. Let's have a look. Right. Okay. Right now, what I've got is I have got a video which is a orb. Okay, I'm going to play that for you. A black orb, not just a normal orb, a black orb. Now, I caught this on video. I was out in the woods and I was like looking for Dogman. And I just happened to spin the camera around as I did. You know, sometimes you see lights in the forest and it kind of like just flashes by, and you either think it's a bird or sometimes it's headlights in the distance flickering through the trees or the underbrush. And you think, oh, it's a bit odd, you know, I wonder what that is. Yeah, so I've kind of like saw that and I thought, oh, I don't know. But when I was editing the video, I thought I'd go back on it and have a look and see what these lights are, because they were moving so quickly, moving just incredibly quickly. So it took a lot of work to get these things slowed down on film. I managed to do that, and I picked up 2 orbs, one white one, one obsidian black, jet black one. So I'm going to play that one for you. Let's have a look. Bear with. Mm, okay. One minute. Where did that go? Let's have a look. Let's try and get that one back up again. Okay, 1 minute. Right, okay, let's see if this works now. Hold on. Right. Hold on. Okay, bear with. Wrong one. Let me try and get that one up again. I'm determined to get it up, you know. Let's have a look. Look at that spherical orb. Bear with. Black spherical orb. Right, okay. Yeah, good. Right, that's up. Okay, 1 minute. Let me just get it. Bigger if I can. Okay, there we go. Thank you for your patience. Okay, let's get myself up here. And that was an incredible catch. I must admit that one. Yeah, I because that was a black orb, and you know, when you saw it, it's like when I first saw it on film, and then it was moving so quickly, it kind of looked like it was a abacus. You know, it looked like a black abacus because it was moving that quickly. And that was like one individual frame of film where I caught that, and it was like multiple black orbs, like an abacus. That was on one single frame. And at the time, I think I was shooting at 60 frames a second on that one. That was on HDR. That was like kind of just a, yeah, cracking shot. I thought it was great because I've never really seen a black orb like that before. Nephilim, the Nephilim were the reason for the. Oh, hang on a minute. Nephilim were the reason for the flood, and some survived in Genesis, unless planets destroyed meteor. Yeah, okay. We can. I'll tell you what. We can. We can. If you message me, okay, then we can think about having a discussion about it, and then having you on. Yeah, because there's a lot when you go down the road of Nephilim. There's an awful lot to unpack there. There's an awful lot to unpack. Another thing I wanted to just briefly tell you about, or get it up, is an account that not a lot of I haven't heard about it before. This one. Right, okay. Don't know if you've heard this one before, but if you have, let us know in the comments. But I found this quite, incredible. This was once again by the professor, scientist, professor friend of mine, who is retired, and uh, he let me. He's asked him if I could use this account because I hadn't heard about it before. Once again, about abduction, aliens and abduction. Let's see if I can get myself a bit bigger. Where am I? Stage, no. That's better. Right, yeah. So yeah, so abduction. But in a way, what it is, it's a family, and they talk about they believed that they were by the US and UK, they were brainwashed, if you like. They were used as guinea pigs to see if they could, as a family, instill memories of a fake abduction. Do you see what I mean? Kind of odd, But anyway, I'm going to crack on, right? Here we go. Right, it's called the Andrews family, who lived in the county of Kent, comprised of Anne, her husband Paul, two sons Jason and Daniel, and her mother Vi. Jason was clearly the focus of activity, which included alleged abductions, strange noises, UFO sightings, men in black, and various bizarre events. However, it became evident that Anne and Daniel were also involved. Clearly, we cannot tell whether objective evidence exists to support the abductions, human or alien, which events were genuine and which were merely implanted memories. The first extraordinary happening, which can be substantiated because it was the subject of a police investigation, occurred on July the 7th, 1987, on Jason's, so not that long ago, really, Jason's 4th birthday. Heavy knocks, bangs, and thunderous sounds shook the house. Jason went into a trance and began to repeat complex series of numbers and highly technical mathematical terms. No sign of intruders could be detected. Over subsequent years, the family continued to experience strange things, and in parallel with these, financial and other problems, which does tend to happen. That does tend to happen. That's another thing which I haven't really broached, but that really does tend to happen. So people with experiences, you know, otherworldly experiences, it tends to kind of encompass the rest of their life as well. You know, you kind of like they other things, either financial or this goes wrong or that goes wrong, or health as well. Health tends to take a bit of a nosedive as well, occasionally on in this type of thing. Let me just have a look, see what turn that around as well. Boop, 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 boop. Okay, right. Right. Okay. Right. Okay. So they had long wanted to buy their own small holding, and in 1989 purchased Hawknest Farm near Borough Green, Kent. But for no clear reason, the local council consistently refused them permission to live on the site, and their bank and officialdom made things impossibly difficult for them. Perhaps of significance is the proximity of the farm to a Ministry of Defence centre, used at weekends by the Territorial Army, roughly equivalent to the National Guard in the US. Okay. The area was heavily wooded, and numerous sightings were made of luminous objects rising above the trees. Odd humming noises were occasionally heard. Poltergeist phenomenon took place. Yeah, sound familiar? A large white owl began to make regular appearances at windows. I mean, come on. It's the blueprint, isn't it? That's the blueprint of kind of you know, this phenomena that we're kind of experience, and people do experience. Owls again. Right, a large white owl began to make regular appearances at windows. Unknown men who did not seem quite normal were seen. Jason continued to have what we consider to be strange nightmares and developed various behavior problems. A mysterious virus killed off their calves, and an official looking but unidentified group of men in biological protective clothing turned up and removed the dead animals. In 1995, Jason's extreme reaction to a TV program about alien abductions at last alerted the family to the nature of this problem, nature of his problem. By now, his behavior at school had deteriorated to the point where he was required to seek psychiatric help. The psychiatrist clearly disbelieved his accounts of aliens, and the meetings ended, as invariably they do. Revolting smells filled their house. You see, this is a thing, isn't it? You know, it's like this alien come UFO Men in Black. It crosses over very it crosses over so easily into the realm of paranormal. You know, strange smells in the house, like kind of, it's like odd, isn't it? It's the same thing with Bigfoot. You know, kind of you smell it before you see it. You know, which I think goes part and parcel with when they're manipulating their, let's call it timeline. All right. When they're manipulating their timeline, it's like almost a residue of that. This smell is the ammonia smell, the rotten egg smell is a residue of that. You know, like when we had lead in petrol, the exhaust was a residue of the car going by. The smell of the exhaust, you know, like in two-stroke fuel, where you added the fuel to the tank on a motorbike, you had a distinctive smell. It was the residue of that. You know, it's that type of thing, I think. You know. Right, where am I? The revolting smell filled the house. Electrical equipment began to malfunction. One evening, Anne and the boys simultaneously fell asleep watching TV and awakened to find that one of their dogs was missing. After a thorough search, it suddenly reappeared, lying on the settee as if drugged. Jason claimed that the aliens were experiencing earthly life uh, uh, through his mind. So basically, they're experiencing stuff through his mind. Subsequently, Anne herself was forced to recognize that she, too, had been a childhood abductee. But at this point, one might be tempted either to take the family stories of at face value or to reject them as fantasy. But two further incidents changed things dramatically. After waking in the night with painful injuries to her arm, the next day Anne spontaneously began to remember what had happened. She recalled waking slowly, hearing loud background noises. She was sitting in a backward tilting chair in a high ceilinged room. A smell of antiseptic filled the air. 5 or 6 needles were sticking in her left arm, which was restrained by straps. Blood was withdrawn through a tube. The pain was intense, and she began to pull out the needles and throw them on the floor. The footsteps came running. As she pulled out the tube, a voice said, "Oh no, she's awake." More voices replied angrily. One said, "Someone's got to answer for this." A man wearing a hood and mask with thick-rimmed glasses seized the tube and began to mop up the spilt blood. He spoke with a mid-Atlantic accent and called her honey. Something had gone wrong with her arm, and he began to look alarmed. The next thing she could recall was waking up in bed. The memory had been triggered by a TV ad for spectacles, which is strange. You know, when we had all that, I think it was in the 80s, we had all that stuff going on with blipverts, didn't we? At one point, you know, where like super fast scenes within an advert, you know, would just pop up. A single frame of focus would just pop up in an advert. Blipvert, they were banned, I think they were. In a way, what happened next to TV ad for spectacles. In a way, what happened next was equally disturbing. Anne, upset and in tears, telephoned the UFO investigator who had been helping the family. Instead of seeing the obvious explanation, he then reassured her that such things often happen in alien abduction cases, and it might mean that humans were being bred to cooperate with the aliens. Later on, still convinced of the extraterrestrial theory, Anne had another abduction experience, which left her with a possible implant behind her knee. She began to have frequent precognitive dreams. In November 1977, another highly significant incident occurred. She was woken by the sound of heavy machinery and jumped out of bed, convinced she had forgotten to leave her dustbin out for the regular garbage collection. She bent down to pick up a rubbish bin. The room was filled with light, and she instantly found herself outside in a field, freezing cold, and then in a clearing in the woods. There were spotlights. Around the clearing, she could see half a dozen men wearing blue or black overalls. She accidentally brushed against one of them, and he shoved her away, telling one of the others, "You wanted her. You take care of her." She walked around, observing a large jeep with a bank of spotlights on the front. Another man led her to a makeshift pen, where one of her horses lay. It staggered to its feet as if drugged, and one of the men let it out of the pen. Another man said, Let's wrap this up, people." next day, Anne's recall was triggered by emptying a rubbish bin, and she told her husband of her dream. Together, they headed up to the farm and met a groom from a local riding school leading the horse. A question she had found the horse in question that she dreamed about, a groom was leading it out of the pen. The horse in question, she had found it wandering in the woods, the groom did. So that horse she dreamt about being let out of a pen, she thought in her dream, was in actuality found in the wood. Wandering in the woods, and was going to return it, the groom was. It was walking as if drugged, but showed no signs of injury. The will to believe in the alien abduction scenario was clearly so strong that even when presented with clear evidence that something was very different was actually happening, none of the participants in the events, nor the respected ufologists investigating the case, could accept the implications. Yes, the family members were being abducted and experimented upon, but not by aliens. Had the controllers not made clumsy mistakes, such as forgotten to turn off their mobile phones when keeping the farm under surveillance, which happened 2 or 3 times, we would have not been none the wiser. And ironically, most researchers still seem to accept the validity of this case, and both Anne and Jason are still telling their stories at UFO conferences and on TV. Perhaps they now have so much emotional commitment to the alien concept that it's impossible for them to doubt it. So yeah, that's just like when I read that first off, I was like, wow, I hadn't heard that one before. I hadn't heard that one before, and that was like, super, super, super incredible. God, 1 hour 42 we're at now. I've hardly touched the surface, really. My word. Let's have a look at some of the because I've got another account about about a very well-known ufologist that was privy to information in the States and in the UK as well, and he actually saw an alien in a compound, but I don't know if I've got time for that one this week. Let's have a look. Let's have a look at the comments. Thank you for using information. Right, let's have a look. Jesus, my saviour. Did one of them say their girlfriend lost her baby after seeing a Dogman film? I'm just asking because my first baby died after encounter with a demon. The second Dogman, by the way, Phil, it's Chris. Oh, hello, Chris. Hiya. Sorry, mate. How you doing? You all right? Yeah. Right. No, if did one of the lost their baby after seeing a Dogman? I don't think so. No. I'll have to go back over it and double check, but I'll let you know. But I'm pretty sure that wasn't the case. But there again, it could have been. I'll have to go back over that story and check it. Yeah, I'll have to have a look. Because that video, I think it was, yeah, it was. He was standing on the staircase, wasn't he, on the video? Yeah, I think she did lose a baby, but I think the Dogman entity that they saw, I can't remember if it was before that or after it. I'll have to. I'll put a link to the video anyway down in the I'll put a link to the video down in the comments anyway of this, okay, and you can just check it out and have a look. But I'm sorry about with losing babies. I'm so sorry for you, but yeah, very often these things, you know, like I say, they kind of instill a certain amount of, I don't know, fear, and with the paranormal as well. Sometimes, you know, you get a lot of carry out with it. You know, you get attachments with it. You know, and I don't believe it is per se ghosts, as in that people think is a spirit of a dead person. I don't think that is quite so much the case. I had a long chat with a guy, as a historian guy, about hereditary hauntings, which I'll mention. It was a bit of a long chat, but luckily enough, I got it as a transcript, so I'll go over hereditary hauntings and how they kind of how I think they function. It all has to do with ghosts as such, anyway. But you know what I mean. But on a certain day, you'll see, I don't know, a ghost come out of an archway of a castle at a certain time in a calendar date. You know, and a lot of people think it's just replays, like a replay, almost like stone tape theory. You know, I'm not so sure about that. I don't know. I think inanimate objects do hold a certain amount of information. Everything's on a vibration, but you know, whether it can replay it, whether it does replay it, and with us, and whether if it does replay it with us, is it that we are seeing it ourselves? We're projecting that replay ourselves, and we're seeing it because we picked up that frequency from the stone that we just passed. You know, I mean, I know stuff when I have dreams. I see stuff in my head. Actually see things in my head, like most people having dreams do. But we have to remember that our eyes are closed. You know, a lot of times. So our brain is a complicated machine. You know, it's a complicated computer that is able to project images, which we can interpret and wake up and go, "Oh, I had a dream about a crocodile," or whatever. But we have that image, and that image is, we didn't see it. Our eyes were closed. It was projected. So could that be the case of, you know, with ghosts? One thing I do know about ghosts, as we're like talking about ghosts, one thing I do know about ghosts, and on the ghost hunts that I've been on, and the experiences I've personally had with ghosts, they're very opportunistic. They're very opportunistic. I mean that from the point of view of you can go ghost hunting, you can go out, you can go kind of purposely looking in cemeteries and stuff. And very rare you'll find anything, really. But they will present themselves in a manner that is on the peripheral. It will present itself. It might be that you're walking back from a cemetery to your car, and that's when you'll see something. You'll give it a break with your EMF meter. You put that down. You go for a wee up against a tree. Bingo bango, you'll see something. You know, it's quite sort of rare that they'll actually perform in front of you. It's a kind of, you know, it is kind of just it once again it crossing, you know, crossing the frame of our reality. You know, it's like an avatar, just boom, crosses, and at that point we see the one single footprint because it's already passed and gone, and at that point we see the ghost because it's already passing. We just see it You see the ghost, and it looks like a ghost, and we probably would look like ghosts to them. That's why very often when I used to go ghost hunting, I used to, instead of the usual questions, you know, so like, can you give us a name? Can you give us your name? How long have you been here? Did you pass away here? You know, the usual type of. I used to talk more as if it's a person, you know, because that's what I'm taking it to be. And so we do take it to be a person, you know. Someone's died, passed away, and come back as a spirit form. I think they'd prefer it being talked to as a person rather than, you know, the sort of chat of the usual, you know, are you here? What's your name? You know, how long have you been here? I normally like kind of shout out, first of all, introduce myself, and then I'll ask them, what do I look like to you? Fair enough question, isn't it, to ask? If I passed away and came back as a ghost, someone shouted out that to me, or say I'm me now, and there's a ghost over there, and I heard it shouting out, what do I look like to you? I'll go, well, yeah, I can hear you. You're a bit misty. You're kind of like a bit shimmery, a bit misty, but yeah, I can just make you out, outline. Well, where are you? What are you doing over there? Yeah. Is it me that's a ghost or you? What do I look like to you? You know, they're sort of things that we have to be asking, really, because I mean, it's like when Houdini went and kind of like went to seances and he debunked an awful lot, you know, of the seances and as being trickery. You know, we have to kind of broaden our horizons and not take these entities like apparitions and ghosts to be probably past people that have passed away. Maybe that's for me in a way. Do you know what I mean? When I used to think it was a ghost, it's like kind of like here where we are now, right? But this is the padded room. It's actually a bedroom, okay? But use it as a studio. Yeah, it's quite comfy. It's all right. But when we're downstairs, we can hear a dog. We take it to be one of our old dogs we had and pass away, jumping off the bed onto the floor. But boom, the floor goes. You can hear it very often. Even our two dogs that are here and alive, they look up. They look up. They can hear the bang, and they kind of like look up at the staircase as if something's coming down. But then it's my interpretation, of course, that I will automatically go, oh, it's either Molly or Bailey, our dog, two dogs that passed. It's either one of those two. Do you see? We kind of like, you know, I'm kind of doing the same thing. I'm adapting what has actually happened to suit what I feel. And really, I don't know what the hell jumped off the bed. I heard the sound. The dogs heard the sound. The one thing I do know is it couldn't have been anything which was too threatening, because otherwise the dogs would be straight up the stairs and, you know, I mean, they're two terriers, for goodness sake. The terriers would be, you know, they'd be like, you know, up the stairs if it was anyone, you know, checking them out if they got any biscuits they brought in with them. Let's have a look at the comments. I'm waffling now. Let's have a look. I will sort these comments out so the girls can put them up, okay? Because waiting for me, I know takes an age. But appreciate you. Islamic USA. Well, I'm not putting that up. Even the Rottweilers ask. So have a look. Even the Rottweilers are scared of the geese and will give them healthy distance to pass by. Yeah, no geese. Oh my word. Well, yeah. Yeah. How you doing, Paula? You're right. Yeah, I know. Do you know where I used to live? There was a nice, really nice house, and a biggish garden. It's when I was growing up in Greenford. And when I used to take the dogs for, I used to take my dog for a walk, either Seaboy or or Berry as well, Cocker Spaniel. And Seaboy was a mad uh, uh, Doberman, just crazy, lovely dog, really lovely dog, but mad as a hatter. Anyway, I used to go walking past the garden, this one house. I heard all the geese being the best guard dogs going. If you want the best guard dogs going, yeah, no, not dogs, no. They're the best geese. A pin will drop and they'll I'd be just like, what? Yeah, brilliant. And also, you kind of like swans, if you get on the wrong side of them, look at them a bit funny, boom, they will attack. I've been chased off of more than one park lake by a swan. It's not funny. No, it's not funny, especially when I had a gammy leg. Dragging my leg across the park being chased by a swan. It's not fun. Not fun. It's me trying to flick bread, trying to, send it off another way. No, it didn't work either. But Paula, good, thank you. Very interesting, entertaining show. Oh, I'm pleased about that. Do you know what, Paula? Honestly, if anything could go wrong, it will go wrong. I've been trying to get the girls so that the two moderators so they can get the comments up. My fault entirely. Do you think I can get? Oh, I've done everything YouTube said, but still won't do it. But I'll have to work on that. But so I'm trying to get it sort of a bit more streamlined and a bit more kind of a bit slicker. As I say, it's only really sort of me doing it. I've got the girls moderating, which is a big help with the comments. Such a big help, but it's just me doing videos, and if anyone else comes on, it's me. The guests last week, they had trouble getting on. And it's like, what? No, seriously. So anyone that wants to come up and have 15 minutes, please do. It's not a problem. Just message me beforehand, okay? And you don't have to download anything, okay? Don't have to download a thing. Nada, nothing. There's no app to get. All I'll do is send you a link, okay, and some instructions. It's really easy. Click on the link and it will take you to the studio. If you've got iPhone, then you have to work it slightly different, but it's still not hard. Okay, and that's not a problem. So don't be perturbed about, oh no, I've got to download an app or a link, or what I've got. No, you haven't. It's really easy. But it's nice because if you want to have your say, you're more than welcome. Have your say. That's what this show's about. It's not particularly about me. It's just about stuff that I've collected over the week and kind of regurgitating it for you, just bringing out a few ideas. I know roughly what's out there on Facebook. I know what's out there on TikTok. I have a little look and I sort of, think, oh, okay. But I always try and look for the stranger things, stories that we probably haven't heard of, or you may not have heard of, or a bit more controversial stuff, and stuff to make us think, really, all of us. And it's as much your show as it is mine. And on that, it's coming up for 2 hours now. I'm going to say tatty bye. Thank you very, very much for joining. I do appreciate it. And listen, if you want to join a Discord, there's a Discord server where you can chat with all these people. Yeah. All these people. There's Dawn on, me on. There's quite a few people on there already. So if you want to chat or upload videos or upload this or upload that, you can, and it is sort of in real time. So with like-minded people, you can talk. So Discord server, I'll stick. It's on my Facebook and my YouTube on the profile. But check it out, and I'll stick it on the comments here anyway. But my Discord server, that's fine. So you can have a chat and have a little look and see what updates. I stick updates on there as well. membership as well. My membership is open. If you want to join a membership, I do stick stuff on there early. And I'm coming up. So I've got 3 investigations that I'm doing. One with a couple of other guys that you would have heard about. So I'm doing an investigation with those 2 guys. But I'll reveal more on the membership as it goes on. But it's going to be a big investigation. We're going to turn it into a documentary. That's what we're hoping to do. We're going to turn it into a documentary. It's going to be all part and parcel of Dogman, cryptid, and also paranormal stuff as well. Okay, so keep an eye out on that. That's going to be coming up. As I say, it'll be a documentary thing, so we're going to be doing that. And listen, thank you very much for joining. I appreciate it. And Dornio 70, Roxy B, thank you both very much for moderating. I appreciate it. And have yourselves a lovely weekend, and see you again next Friday.
Right. That is that.